Yeah, hi guys, good morning. In today's session, we'll discuss one of the AWS service, and this is very important. And the service name is EC2. Okay, so I hope everyone has provisions a couple of EC2s from our previous practice sessions, right? So what we have seen is we have just provisioned some servers, and we were working on Linux commands and Git tasks, right? But we don't know the exact story. I mean, how this is being provisioned in the background, and how many type of EC2s are available, and what are the different options what we have been seeing on the screen. Okay, so we'll discuss each and every detail about EC2 today. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, right. So EC2. Any idea what is the full form of EC2?
Elastic Cloud Computing.
గట్లుంటది మళ్ళా
Elastic Cloud Computing.
బురాన్ అంటారు.
ఎవరు రారు కానీ మ్యూట్ లో పెట్టి మాట్లాడుకో. Okay, so Elastic Cloud Compute, and this service, what it is doing, it is helping us to provide, or it is helping us to create one server, whatever server you want, whether it is for Linux, whether it is for Ubuntu, whether it is for Windows. So there are a lot of operating systems which are available. So whatever you want, you can create, right? So let me go to my AWS account. Let me sign in. Okay, so currently I will be using North Virginia region. So this is my AWS account. So if you want to search for this service, right, so you can use the search bar here. So EC2, then it will help us to create the servers. So let me click here. Okay, and this is the dashboard. I mean, how many EC2s are available, how many are shut down, how many are running, what are the different volumes which are created, everything you can see in this dashboard. Okay, so if you want to create one EC2, then just go to the launch instance, click on launch instance. Okay, then we can see the options to create our EC2. So here we have something called name. So what is this name?
You have to add any server name.
This is a tag name. Okay, so for every purpose, I mean, even the task what we were trying to do, right? So we have some naming conventions. Okay, so when we work for any project, or when we are working for any company, when we try to provision the EC2s, right? So we will be also creating specific naming conventions as well. For example, you cannot just randomly create or write any name here. It should be always relevant to your work. For example, this server is Linux, and this is for development environment. So I will be creating the same name for server. With the help of these naming conventions, it will be very easy for you to understand what you have been creating, or else it will be very easy for the other users who are working on the same project. So always keep the relevant names. Do not just keep any random name. Always try to add some relevant names to your instances. Not only instances, even for your task, for your GitHub commit messages, for everything. Okay, so this is just a name or a tag, what we call it. And then if I scroll down here, then I can see something called application and OS images, Amazon machine image. Okay, so we generally call this as AMI. What is the full form of AMI?
Amazon
Image.
Amazon machine images. But why do we need Amazon machine images? Why do we need AMI? Why should I select this AMI? What is this AMI? What is the meaning of this AMI?
It's like a OS.
Yeah, this is a kind of OS. So Amazon machine images are the templates with all the software configurations which are related or which are required to communicate with your hardware. Means if you have around 2 GB of RAM, i5 core of CPU, right? That is your hardware. In order to communicate with that hardware, you need any software. Okay, and in AWS, we have a concept called Amazon Machine Images. This is nothing but a template with all the software related to our operating system. This will help you to communicate with your hardware. Okay, so now in my case, which software should I select? Okay, here we have a lot of options. Here you can see Amazon Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, and we have a lot more options. If you want to search for a specific, then you can use this box. Or else here we have something called browse more AMIs. If I click on browse more AMIs, then here we can see we have something called, we have something called quick start, we have something called my AMIs, we have something called marketplace, we have something called community AMIs. So we have these many options here. So which option should we select?
AWS.
As per client requirement, what is the specification, which OS has to be used?
Yeah, as per the requirement, we'll try to select our AMIs. But out of these 4 options, what is the difference? Why do we have these many options? Okay, so we have something called quick start AMIs. Means these are something which are regularly used. Here you can also see the definition: commonly used AMIs. These are being commonly used across the globe. Means whoever is active on AWS, these are some common AMIs which are being actively using. So as per your requirement, means what you want, whether you want Amazon Linux AMI or whether you want Mac OS, or if you want Red Hat Enterprise. Again, in Mac OS we have different versions. So you can decide which operating system you want to create. Okay. So, and also remember one thing, for every AMI, there will be something called AMI ID. This is very unique again. With the help of AMI ID only, you are going to identify your operating system. Okay. Quick start AMIs are nothing but commonly used AMIs. And then we have one more option called my AMIs. If I click here, as of now created by me, there are 0. We don't have any AMIs. I haven't created any AMI. Means even I can create my own customized AMI. How to do that? We'll see in this session only, but not right now. Okay. So as of now, we don't have any AMIs. Okay, and then we have something called AWS Marketplace AMIs. Means this here we have our operating system as well as with some specific softwares as well. For example, you want AMI for Tomcat. If you search for Tomcat, okay, here in Marketplace you can see Apache Tomcat service on Windows 2019. Means here they are providing us Windows 2019 operating system along with Apache Tomcat software. Okay, here we have Apache server or Ubuntu 20.04. Means Ubuntu's operating system along with Tomcat server. So they will inbuilt, these softwares are already available in our operating systems. Okay, so if you want any softwares as well, then you can use the marketplace. So there are a lot of softwares which are available like Splunk, or if you want any monitoring tool, or else if you want to have Git, right? Even you can search for Git. Okay, you can see GitHub on CentOS. This is also one operating system. GitHub on Ubuntu 14.04. So we have a lot of operating systems along with the softwares as well. Means no need to again do all the configurations to set up that software. They are already customized for you. Okay. Apart from that, we do have one more option that is called as community AMIs. If I click here, community AMIs, so you can see software, a lot of operating system images which are available, which are being published by the community. Now, what do you mean by community? Community means the society where who are using this AWS. For example, you have set up an Apache Tomcat and you want this to be benefited to others. So what you will do? You will publish this particular AMI here. Means I am trying to help the society. Community people are the one who are using our AWS accounts, means who are actively using AWS cloud platforms. For every software, we can see a lot of communities. Even for Git, we can see a lot of people who are posting a lot of stuff on Git. For Apache Tomcat also, there is a lot of huge community. Okay, so if you want to customize something which is really difficult and that might be helpful to other users, then you can also do that. That kind of AMIs we can see in community AMIs. Okay, even in community, if I'll execute, hit search for Tomcat, right? See here we have something called Tomcat. Let me scroll up. Here we have something called Tomcat 9.0.75 with the Linux images. Okay, so if you want to help or if you want to benefit to the other users, then we can also customize our AMI. Clear? So these are the different options available in our Amazon machine images. So for now, what I'm doing, I will try to use quick start AMI because I want something which needs to be developed from scratch. Okay, I just need the operating system. So I am selecting Amazon Linux 2 images. Click on select. Okay, once you are done with this option, then we have something called instance type. How many type of instances are available? If I click here, no, we have a lot of type of instances. Okay, so not three, but I mean that are the purchasing options which are available. Three type of purchasing options. Okay, so instance type. If I click here, then you can see 762 plus type of instances are available. How many? 762 plus instances are available. Out of that, every instance will have a different specific requirement. I mean, see here we have T2 micro. I'm using T2 micro because it is having 1 core of CPU and 1 GB of RAM. And you can see the details. I mean, what is the network performance, load to moderate? Mean there is a specific limit on these instances that it will only support up to 1 GB of internet speed, not beyond that. Even if you have a router for 5 GB, if your machine is, if your hardware is not capable of that, then it will not be able to fetch all the 5 GB of data. It will only take up to 1 GB of data because that's what its capacity is for. Okay, so as part of training, we will be using T2 micro because this is okay for us in terms of practice. But when it comes to projects, so always remember that we will be using T2X large. This will have a 4 core of CPUs and 16 GB of RAM. Okay, this might be asked in interviews, what is the type of instance you are using in your project? Do not tell them T2 micro because once you reveal T2 micro, right, then they will understand that you have learned this code somewhere. Always stick to either T2 large or T2X large. Clear?
Yes.
So here we have T2 micro. This is of very low capacity, but since for the training purpose we are using, and this can be used for the development activities or testing activities. Means you want to test some application, you want to test how this is behaving, then you can use T2 micro. But for production, we will be using T2X large or T2 large, at least this one. This is the minimum requirement what we are going to provide. Okay, so here we have different types. T family, we have T family, we have T3 families, T2 families, T3 families, A family, C families, and we have something called D families as well. Okay, if I'll go to the next pages, right, then you can find different type of families as well. Here if you'll see A type families, it is of 16 GB, 16 core of CPUs, 32 GB of RAM. Okay, and it will support up to 10 GB of network. Okay, so when should we use high capacity of instances? For example, we have Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin will be working on a algorithm model. In that case, you cannot really have this T2X large with 4 core of CPUs and 16 GB of server to run that algorithm. You need to have a very powerful hardware. If suppose you have some basic application like Apollo Pharmacy application, what we are using, in that case, that is okay to use X large with 4 GB and 16 GB of RAM. For Facebook, in order to host Facebook applications, we need very powerful hardware because they have millions of users across the globe. And they should be really fast. Okay, clear?
Yes.
If suppose you are working for NASA, what type of instances you should have? It should be at least minimum 10 GB of network speed it should manage. Okay, so based upon application to application, we'll decide which instance needs to be used, what should be the capacity. In our case, for now, I'm using T2 micro. So let me proceed. And then we have something called key pair login. What is this used for? Why do we need a key pair?
Securely connect to your instance.
Key pair is for the authentication. Means if you want to connect to your server, then you need to take this keygen to the server and it will authenticate the request, it will validate, and it will allow you to log in. For example, you want to attend one interview for Infosys. Then you cannot directly go to Infosys office and tell them that you want to attend the interview, no, right? So there should be some call letter. Call letter will act as the key pair. There's the authentication for you. Okay, so similarly, we will be having some key pairs which will help us with the authentications. Okay, so already I have one key pair. Okay, let me try to create one new key pair for now. The name will be tricky07 will be my key pair. Okay, and these are the two different type of encrypted algorithms which can be used. Okay, and here we can find two type of keys, that is .pem extension and .ppk. Okay, for now I'm using PEM. This is okay for me in terms of kit based. There is nothing different. There is the only change in terms of the encryption algorithms what they are using. So you can use any one. So create key pair. So once a key pair is been created, then it will be downloaded in your local machine. Where can I see this? In my downloads directory. Here I can see this directory. Okay, understood why do we need key pairs? Even without key pair as well, we can create our server, but you will not be able to log into that server. This is mandatory. For example, you are creating 10 servers. Will you create 10 different key pairs or will you create only one key pair?
One key.
One is
Yeah, only one. So what I will do is for development environment, I will create one key pair related to development. And for all the instances which are being created for development will be with the same key pair. Or else what will happen? You will end up with lot of key pairs. And later on you will get confused which key pair should be used for which server. Okay, so always make a habit of using the same key pair again and again. Do not just create random key pairs since it is free of cost. No. Now, if you want to see the content, what is available inside the key pair. Okay, so I just want to check the content of this key pair. Always remember, if you want to check, do not use these editors or else your key pair will get corrupted. Do not try to open with Notepad and all. It will get corrupted. You will not be able to log into your server if your key pair is corrupted. And even if your key pair is deleted, you will not be able to log into the server. Okay, so if you really want to see the content, then go to git bash and try to do cat. Okay, if I'm doing cat techie07.pem, this is my key pair and this is the content inside my key pair. This is how it will look. If you try to modify anything, then it will get corrupted and you will end up losing your instance. You cannot log into your instance. Okay, so be careful with the key pairs. We do have different option how to log in. If you lost the key pair of this or this is being deleted, then how to log in. We do have different methods to log in. We'll discuss about that as well. Okay, so then we have something called network settings. So network settings means on which particular network this should be created. We have observed some IP address are getting generated, right? So there is some IP address which is being getting generated to our EC2. Yes or no?
Yes.
That IP address has been generated based upon these network settings only. How to create, what is this VPC, what is this subnet and all, we'll discuss about this in our next session. This is a completely different topic. Okay, for now let it be as a default network only, do not make any changes. Okay, and then we have something called security groups, firewalls. Here I can see two different options: create security group, select existing security group. So will you create security group each and every time or else you will use existing security group?
existing.
Yeah, always go for select existing security group. But what is the use of this security group? For example,
To allow the traffic.
Yes, to allow the traffic. Okay, so this is one user. Okay, this is user. And this is my EC2 instance. Okay, and this is the IP address 192.168.0.0. This is the IP address which is been allocated to my virtual machine. So what I am trying to do is I am trying to SSH. I'm trying to SSH. SSH works on which port number? 22, right? So I am a user who is trying to log into my EC2 with the help of the PEM key. So before connecting to the EC2, we will be always having security groups. Okay, so we'll be having our security groups. Security groups are nothing but firewall. If you'll Remember our client server architecture session, we have discussed something about the firewalls. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
firewalls, what they will do, they will try to filter the request. Okay, so I am trying to send the request. So it will reach to the firewall, that is security group, and here in security group it will check. Okay, he is trying to request port number 22. If port number 22 is open, then the request will be redirected to this EC2. If port number 22 is not allowed in this security group, then you will not be able to log into the EC2. This at the security group level only. This will happen for every instance. If you have 10 instances, then there will be 10 firewalls. I mean, you can create one firewall and you can use for 10 instances as well. Clear?
Yes.
For example, I am trying to log in to my EC2 and I can see connection timeout port number 22. Then what might be the reason?
It might be network issue.
Not network issue.
22 port number is not open into the.
Yes, 22 port number is not allowed in the security group. Okay, so if it is not allowed, then you will not be able to connect. Okay, so as of now, what I am doing is I will just use one. I will try to create one new security group, or else let me use the existing security group only. Okay, so this is the default security group which has been available in my machine. I had made some modifications, so we can modify our security groups at any point of time. Even after launching the instance, if you want to add or delete something, then you can make the changes. Okay, so I'm using the existing security group default because I don't want to end up in creating new security groups. Okay, and then we have something called configure storages. Means you have selected what should be your RAM, what should be your number of core of CPUs and all, but we haven't selected any storages, means your hard disk. So storage options is available here. Okay, in storage options, where is my notepad? You have something called EBS, means elastic block storage. This is nothing but our hard disk type. What kind of hard disk you want to select, you can select that from your EBS service. This service will help you to decide your hard disk, what type of hard disk you want and to which instance you want to attach. So for every instance, there should be at least minimum 8 GB of hard disk which needs to be attached. Without this, you cannot create your instance. This is the default configuration. It will at least attach 8 GB with the hard disk type called GP2, general purpose SSD. Okay, so let me just click on advanced and we'll explore different options here. Okay, so if I click on advanced, then here you can see storage type is EBS, that is elastic block storages, and this is the name of the device, this is the snapshot. Okay, here you can decide how much capacity you want. If you want 100 GB, then you can select as 100. If you want 20 GB, then you can select as 20. But default is 8. So for now, I'm just selecting 8 GB because I'm going to terminate after this session. So I am just using 8 GB. And here we have different type of volumes. Magnetic, general purpose, HDD, SSD. We have heard about the HDD and SSD, right? So we have HDD. This is this drive. Then we have SSD,
Solid state drive.
solid state drive, and then we have magnetic. As of now, in our laptops, SSDs are being configured. While we were studying, then we might have heard about HDD hard disk drives. Now we are into SSD. We still have magnetic as well. So now what is the difference between these hard disks? These are different type of hard disks which are available in the market. So what you want to use? Comparing to magnetic, HDDs and SSDs are very low in price because of the performance. Means if you select SSD, right, there will be a different performance. If you select magnetic, then the performance will be pretty high. So what kind of performance? Read and write operation means the data we are trying to store in our hard disk, or the data what we want to retrieve from the hard disk, right? So for example, you have pen drive. So sometimes it will take a lot of time to copy some data. Why? Because of the type of disk which is available, as well as because of the IOPS. We have something called here IOPS. We have something called IOPS. Okay, so here you can see IOPS. IOPS means input output operations per second. So we have input and output operations per second. Okay, so because of this IOPS only, it will decide, I mean, how much time it will take to read the operations or to write the operations. So you can decide, I mean, based upon your budget, whether you want high performance or you are okay for the moderate performance or low performance, then we can decide. Okay, so guys, 1 second. Sorry guys. So we can decide based upon our budget and based upon the capacity or the performance how we want. We can decide what should be the size and what should be the type of volume. Okay. So for now I'm using 8 GB and the type of volume will be GB2. Okay. And then we have something called advanced details. If I click here, okay, so we have something called shutdown behavior. Means when you try to stop your instance or your virtual machine or your server, what should happen? Whether it should stop or terminate. Stop and terminate. What is the difference between them?
Stop.
Means stop means
You can start again.
Stop means just to shut down your system. Terminate means to delete it.
Delete.
Okay, so if I click on terminate, I mean, if I'll select the shutdown behavior as terminate, and if I'm trying to shut down my instance, then what will happen? By default, this will get deleted. Okay, so I don't want to delete this. This will be required as per the requirements of your project. Okay, so for now, I will be using stop.
Saver, your voice is crackling.
Is this okay now?
Your voice is not audible.
Let me just.
Yeah, it's clearly audible.
But now,
I have changed the headphones.
Okay.
So we can decide how it should, what should happen. I mean, whether it should get terminated or whether it should be shut down. Okay, and then we have something called termination protection. Means if someone is accidentally deleting your instance or trying to delete that instance, so what should happen? Whether you want to protect that, means if I'll enable this, what will happen? No one can terminate or delete your instance. Even if someone is trying to terminate or delete your instance, it will not allow if you enable this termination protection policy. Okay, so for example, you have production servers and you don't want to take any such kind of risk. In that case, you can enable this. Means your machine will not be deleted at any point of time. Okay, and these are all optional. This is not mandatory. Whether you want to keep, you can add, or else you can ignore. It will keep the default behavior only. So what should happen on the stop protection? Means if any can shut down your machine or not, whether you want to shut down or not. Even if I click on stop, it will not stop because of these protections. Okay, and then we have something called CloudWatch monitoring. This is a monitoring tool which is available in AWS. So what this tool will do, this tool will help you to check all the details of your EC2 instance. So for now, we are going to ignore this because we have a different concept or different topic on this. Okay, and then if I'll scroll down, we have something called purchasing option. This is very important. This will be asked in interviews for sure. Means we have different type of purchasing options. EC2 purchasing options. We have how many types? We have 3 type of purchasing options. One is on demand, one is reserved, one is spot instances. Okay, so in order to purchase or launch your EC2, we are having 3 type of purchasing options. One is on demand, one is reserved, and one is spot instances. Now, what is the difference between these 3 purchasing options? And which purchasing options currently we were using, and right now what I am using?
Spot instances.
Sorry?
Third one is spot instances.
No.
On demand.
Yes, so we are using on-demand EC2 purchasing option. Means based upon my requirement, what I am trying to do, I am trying to launch the instance. There is no limit on this. Whenever I want, I can provision one instance, use it, delete it. That's up to my choice. But there is a difference in the billing. Means, for example, on demand, for example, on demand per hour, it is charging 100 rupees. This is just an example, guys, not the exact pricing, but just an example. Okay, so for example, on demand, one day it is charging 100 rupees. Okay, so reserved instances, what it will do, one day it will be around 38 rupees. Means there is a difference in 72% of price. And spot instances, one day it will be around 90% of discount. Means how much rupees? 10 rupees per day. Means it will be around 90% of price, 90% discount. So we have lot of variation in terms of pricing. So if we are using on demand, then it might cost us 100 rupees per day. If we are using reserved instances, then it might cost us 38 rupees per day. If I'm using spot instances, then it will cost 10 rupees per day. There is a 90% difference in the pricing as well. Do we have any difference in these instances? No, there is no difference. If it is T2 micro, then it is same T2 micro for these three purchasing options. There will be no difference in terms of hardware. But still, why do we have difference in pricing? What is the difference? Means if they have given three purchasing options, there might be some difference, right? The difference is only in terms of pricing only. Okay, so what will happen is on demand means as per your requirement, you will go and you will purchase the EC2. Guys, someone go on mute. If you have anything, let me know, or else go on mute. Okay, so on demand based upon our requirement, we'll try to provision our instance. How many instances you want, you can provision. And reserve instances means we are trying to purchase these instances from AWS. For example, we have our supermarts, right? So what we'll do, we'll go to DMart and we'll try to purchase in bulk. Why? We'll go to DMart and we'll purchase a lot of groceries and all stuff in bulk.
So well, the discount, if we do shopping for a particular amount, they will be giving the discount.
So whenever we have a requirement, for example, we have some wedding, right? So we'll go to the wholesale market and we'll try to get all the materials from there. Regularly, we'll not go to the wholesale market, only when we have a big weddings in order to save some money, right? So when we are trying to purchase in bulk, even AWS will provide us discounts. That category we can consider as reserved instances. Means you are already requesting AWS that you need 10 instances for 6 months of time. You are purchasing 10 instances. For example, you got one project. You got one project which will be running for 6 months. So what you will do, you will contact AWS and you will ask them to provide one EC2 with Linux image and so specifications, for example T2.micro and T2 micro. What is the configuration? 1 core of CPU and 1 GB of RAM. So you need to pay the payment upfront, means you are paying 6 months of billing initially only. So you are requesting AWS that you want one EC2 with Linux image with specific configuration for 6 months of duration. Then AWS, what they will do? They will send you one billing that, okay, for 6 months, this is what you need to pay. For example, they have given around 5,000 rupees. So you are paying this 5,000 rupees upfront, means initially only. Whether you are using or you are not using, that's up to you. So they will reserve one instance for you. Since you have paid some amount for 6 months of duration, whether you are using or you are not using, that's your problem. But whereas in on demand, you are not paying anything upfront, means you are paying late fees. Kind of first you are using and then you are paying the bill. Okay, so the kind of purchasing option we are using is also on demand. We are not using any reserved instances. We don't have any instances which are reserved. We are using on demand instances. The bill will be generated and later on I will be paying the billing. Okay, so if you want to request or raise a request for the reserved instance, then you need to contact AWS support and they will help you out with these details, how to purchase and all. And then we have something called spot instances. Guys, is this clear? Difference between reserved and on demand?
Yes.
Okay, So now we have something called on spot instances. Means what will happen is, for example, in AWS data center, there is a specific instances which are left over. For example, in AWS data center, there are around 100 core of CPUs, 100 GB of RAM, which is left over. Okay, no one is using this hardware now. So you can purchase your EC2 from this leftover hardware. Means you need to bid for this instance. We are going to bid for this instance. Okay, so spot instances can be purchased based on bidding. So what I will do is, for example, let me show you this option. If I click on spot instance, okay, here you can see maximum price and minimum price. Okay, so what I will do, I will try to add some price that I will be using this instance for so and so amount of time, for so and so amount of rupees. So what will happen? So I will bid for 10 rupees per hour, or else I will bid as 8 rupees per day. And AWS will provide us this instance, EC2 instance. For example, if some more other user came in, okay, and they have also started bidding. For example, he requested 10 rupees per day. Okay, so what I have did, I have requested 8 rupees per day for my EC2, and one more user, he has also requested 10 rupees per day for the same EC2 instance. So what will happen? AWS will terminate our instance within 2 minutes of notice. Means spot instances can be terminated at any point of time if there is an increase in demand. If there is an increase in demand, then spot instances will be terminated. Within 2 minutes of notice, you will get one mail and then it will be deleted. That's it. You cannot do anything.
Even after allocation.
Even after allocation will be done purely upon bidding only. If there is a demand in hardware, if AWS wants their capacity back, then they can send one short notice and they can terminate within 2 minutes of time. That's it. When you have, so is it okay for us to use spot instances in production?
No.
No. Spot instances can be used only for development and testing purposes. Means if your application is okay for any interruptions, then you can go for spot instances. Means there might be some applications which are okay whether to run or not run. I mean 24/7, I don't want my instance to be running, right? Or my application to be up and running. In that case, I can go for spot instances because I'm okay for the interruptions. And also you cannot use spot instances for stateful applications. We have two concepts, guys. Remember this: stateless applications and stateful applications. Always applications will be into two different categories. Okay, it can be either stateless or it can be stateful applications. Now, what is the difference between stateless applications and stateful applications? If you'll Google it out, then you will see a lot of theory on this. But don't get confused, as simple as that. So stateless means not storing any data. Stateful means storing data. Means there are some websites, for example, we have some lot of blog spots, right? They will not store any user data. Such kind of applications we can call as stateless applications. For example, Facebook, that is one of the stateful applications. Means it is trying to store the data. Okay, so spot instances are okay to be used for stateless applications. Clear? So this is the difference between three purchasing options. One is on demand, reserved, spot. On demand, we will be using as per our requirement. Whenever you want, you will create and you will delete. Reserve, you are going to purchase in bulk and you are going to pay in upfront, means you are paying the billing in advance. Spot instances, you need to purely bid for this instance per hourly basis. Okay, and if it is working, and if someone else will bid for some different price, then you might lose your instance as well. This is not recommended for production. This will be asked in interviews for sure. So I'm using none means I'm using on demand instance. And then if I'll scroll down, then we have something called tenancy model. If I'll click here, then we have three different type of tenancy: shared, dedicated host. Means, and this is happening at the data center level, guys. We are not aware of this, and you cannot even see this. This is happening when you are trying to launch one instance. For example, I'm using shared hardware instance. Okay, so if I'm using shared tenancy model, what will happen? Okay, so this is my server stack. This is my hardware server stack. Okay, here we have 5 different hardwares. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 5 different hardware stacks. So when I'm using shared, what will happen? For example, I have my AWS account, right? So I can provision my instance. Then we have Shareun. Shareun can also used on the same stack. Means Shareun's EC2 will also be provisioned on the same instance, same hardware stack. Then we have Raju, right? So Raju EC2 can also be provisioned here. If I am using shared, what is happening? Different users across the globe might share our same room, some of our same stack. For example, if you are living in a hostel, then there will be one room and it will be shared across 4 or 5 different people. So what will happen in that case? You will only pay limited amount, means you will be having your share of around 4,000 or 5,000. So when multiple people will be trying to share the same hardware stack. Okay, and then we have something called dedicated. Means even after 1 year, if I'll come to this hostel or this room, this place will be same. I will be getting the same place. Even if I'll vacate today and if I'll come after 1 year, I will be this place will be available for me only. Means no one can occupy this particular space. So when we are trying to launch one instance, if I have launched one instance here, okay, and I am trying to shut down this and try to start this after 1 year or 6 months or 4 months, then this EC2 will be launched on the same hardware stack. No one will be able to use my space. That's the difference between shared and dedicated, running a dedicated instance. Okay, and then we have dedicated host, means this room is available for me. There will be only one user. This complete room is available for me only. So if I launch one more EC2 after 6 months or 7 months, it might create here. If I launch one more EC2, then it will be available here. Means this complete hardware stack is dedicated for my use only. No one can use my space. AWS will not launch other user EC2 instances on this hardware stack. And there for sure there will be difference in the building. If I'm using a shared room, then it might be around 5,000. If I'm using a dedicated, I mean, I want that room to be dedicated to me even for 1 year or 2 years, then I will need to pay some payment extra for that. If I want a single room and only one user, then I will be ending up paying 20 or 25,000. So similarly, AWS will also try to rent this out. Same kind of concept they are using to rent out their hardware. Clear?
Yes.
And then we have something called user data. This is very important. User data, we call it as bootstrapping as well. Means while launching instance, you want to install any software. Means while launching instance, you want to install any software. In this case, what we can do generally, we first will launch the instance, then I will log in, and then I will try to install my Apache, Nginx, whatever software I want to install. Okay, so if I want to install any software, what I will do, I will first launch my instance, then log in, and I will try to install. So if you want to install anything while launching itself, then you can use user data block. Means here I need to write one script. Sudo yum-y install httpd. So what this command will do, this command will help you to install httpd, and then sudo yum, sorry, then let me try to the world. I'm trying to add one message, bootstrapping where www.html index.html. Means I'm trying to add some message to my index.html file at this particular deployment location of httpd, and then I'm trying to start my httpd. Okay, so this is the software what I want to install. I want to create one file and I want to start my httpd servlet. So what will happen now? My EC2, while provisioning or while launching itself, it will try to also install all the softwares. For example, if there is any issue with your script, so what will happen? If you have written or provided a wrong script, for example, instead of httpd, I have used as httd. So there is no such package, right? So what will happen? AWS will stop your creating of EC2, or what it will do? It will ignore this script. It will create the EC2, but it will ignore this script. If there is any error with this script, then it will ignore this. It will not install, but it will still create your EC2. Okay, so this was the final option which was available in our EC2. Now here we have something called number of instances, means how many instances you want to create, whether 1, 2, 3, that's up to you. So in my case, for now, I just want to create one instance. Okay, and then if I scroll down, then here I can see something called launch instance. So if I click on launch instance, then what is happening? It is dedicating one ID, instance ID. This is also unique. So this instance ID will be tagged, and here we can see some instance is been provisioning. Here I can see the state as pending, and here I can see that this is T2 micro. I mean the type of instance, and this was the name what we have initially provided. And then We have something called status check, means while provisioning, it is checking at the data center level. There will be two different type of checks. Let me just refresh this. See, initializing now. If I'll again refresh this, it will show 2 by 2. Means there are two different level of checks which is been happening at the data center level. What type of checks? It is something related to your hardware as well as related to your networking at the data center level. This is not our problem. This is something which is being managed by AWS. Okay, so once the status checks are okay, then only it will launch your instance, or else your instance will not be launched. And then we have something called alarm status, means this is for monitoring, so ignore this for now. And then we have something called availability zone, means in North Virginia, in US East Virginia data center, our EC2 has been created. North Virginia is one geographical location, region, and in this region we have one data center which is in US East Virginia, means in that data center our instance has been created. For example, this is our North Virginia region, and in North Virginia we have different data centers. This is one, this is one. Yes, East one, and this is one more availability zone, that is yes East 1B. No, 1A 1B. Okay, and here we have our EC2. Our EC2 is launched in this particular data center. Okay, so this is how it has been provisioned for now. And then we have something called public IPv4 DNS, means IP address version for domain name servers is what it has been created. What is DNS and all? We'll discuss about this at later point of time. Okay, and then it has created one public IP. With the help of this public IP only, you can always connect. And here you can see something called private IP as well. Here if you see this, we have private IP and then we have public IP, means if you want to connect from the outside world, then you should only use public IP. You cannot use private IP to connect to your instance. This is only for internal communication. When you are in the same network, then only you can use private IP. What is the difference exactly and how this is been getting generated, we will discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay, and then we have something called elastic IP, means this is the fixed IP address. This will be asked in interviews. What is the difference between public IP and elastic IP? Elastic IP, what we are doing, for example, this is our IP address, right? So I haven't paid anything for this IP address, means AWS on their own, they have provided this IP address. For example, if I'll shut down my EC2 and if I'll start my EC2 after one day, then this IP address will get changed. But whereas elastic IP, you are going to pay some price for this elastic IP. So AWS will allocate a specific IP address for your EC2 instance. Even if you shut down today and start after 1 year, the IP address will be same. There is no change in the IP address. This is the fixed IP, and we are going to purchase these IP addresses. Okay, and then we have something called IPv6, means IP address version 6. As of now, I haven't enabled it. Okay, and then we have monitoring, which is disabled. I haven't configured any monitoring. And then this is our firewall, that is default what I'm using. And this is the key name to my machine. I'm using TechKey iPhone 07, and this is the launch time, means at this particular time my instance has been launched. These are the different options what we can see on the screen. And again, if I'll scroll down here, you can see similar options here as well. See public IP, private IP, DNS, instance state. And then we have the VPC. This is the networking part which we haven't discussed today. And then you can find all the options, which AMI you have used, see AMI name, what is the platform, what is the termination protection, monitoring, okay, launch time, stop behavior, auto recovery. You can see all the different options which are available here. Whatever you have selected, you can see the details here as well. Again, also you can see the status check. This is still in initializing. So let me just refresh this page. You can see 2x2 checks has been passed. For example, if your checks are failed, 2x2 checks are been failed. So what you will do, or what should we do, or what will happen? If your checks are failed, then your instance will not be in the running state. If your 2x2 checks are failed, then your instance will not be in the running state. So in such cases, the most common solution what we do is we'll try to restart my EC2 instance. Means I'll just select this instance state and reboot instance. So when I'll do reboot, what will happen? It might end up in different hardware, and we might see these failures because of the issues at the data center level. Or else you can go to AWS support and contact them related to this issue, and they will help you out with this. Okay. And now, how to connect to this EC2 instance? How should we connect to this EC2 instance? So here, if you click on connect option, you can see something called EC2 instance connect. If I'll scroll here and click on connect, then AWS will open one web application with your own terminal. I mean, they have designed it. But do not use this option, because this might be not available every time. Means you might not have access for this option while working in the projects. Once you select this option, connect, okay, you might not see this option available in your account because of the access privileges. As of now, I am the admin account and I am the admin user. That's the reason I'm able to see this option. But do not expect this option every time. Okay. So the best way is to use our SSH client. Just copy the command. So here we have one command, or else we are also aware of the command, right? So how to connect to the remote machines? What is the command to connect to the remote machine?
SSH.
SSH.
-.
And then -i. So where is my PEM key? That is in download. So I'm trying to connect from desktop, which is not available.
We can give the path also now.
Yeah, I can also give the path. You can also give the path, or else what I will do is I'll just try to open git bash here, which is in downloads. Okay, SSH -i, and then my keygen name, and then EC2-user. This is my username. This is the default username which has been created by AWS.
@ IP address.
So if you want to know the username, then you can select SSH client. Here you can see the username, and then this is the public DNS, or else I can use public IP address as well. Public IP address @ and then paste. So what will happen? It will ask for the authentication. It went here, it went to the security group, and here it is checking whether port number 22 is open or not. In my case, it is open. That's the reason it is allowing me to log into my EC2. Now we are able to successfully log into this EC2 instance. For example, let me just modify the security group. So just go to security group here, security options. Click on default security group because this is what I have used, right? So we have something called inbound rules. Let me just edit and let me delete this one. So this is how it will look. Okay, so your security group, this is how it will be initially. Okay, so now if I'll exit or else this has been disabled. Let me close this. Let me try to again log in. SSH -I techie 07pm pc-user @ public IP. Since my security group firewalls are blocked, I will not be able to log in to that instance. So what it will do, it will throw the connection timeout port number 22 error. Guys, go on mute. Someone go on mute. Basic connect to host. This is the IP address. Port number 22 connection timeout. Means the request came here. It waited, and the request has been terminated. Okay, so always make sure that if you are saying connection timeout error, then check your security group. That's the first thing what we need to do. Okay, so we need to go to security group, inbound rules, add rule, and which port number you want to allow. Port number SSH, that is port number 22, and here I am selecting CADR block as 0.0.0.0.0. 0.0 means anywhere or everyone can connect. There is no restriction. Even if you want, you can connect. Okay, just save rules. Done. Now if I am trying to log in again, you can see that I have been successfully connected. If you remember what I have did, I have provisioned Apache, right? I have created Apache script in the bootstrapping. So let us check the status whether this is running. See, Apache is already installed and this is running. If you want to access on browser, then we can do that as well. This is my instance public IP, port number 80, but this page will get failed. Why? I will not be able to access this on browser. Why? Because of my security group. In security group, I have only informed my security group that to allow request from port number 22. That's it. I have only allowed request for port number 22. Apart from 22, all the port numbers are blocked. So now what I will do, I will add one more rule. Here we have HTTP, that is port number 80, 0.0 and save. And now if I'll try to refresh this, it is working. So this is how you need to understand. Okay, if the status is running on the server and you are unable to see this on the browser, then you need to check for the security groups. Always check on the CLI as well as on the graphical user interface. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now my requirement is I don't want to, I mean, for example, I don't want to use this PEM key each and every time. For example, there are 10 servers on the same PEM key. Okay. For example, 10 servers are there on the same PEM key, and Isa Modi has joined our team recently. And I want to provide him the access for this particular server. So if I'll share the PEM key, what will happen? He will get the access for all the 10 servers, but I don't want to do that. Means I don't want to provide the PEM key, but still he should log in to my server.
We
How
can
can we
ask
do
his
that?
Modi to share his SSH key and we can add in the our browser in
Yeah,
the web
so
Linux.
yes, right. So what we need to do is I will ask Isa Modi to share his SSH keygen. So this keygen I have already generated. Previously, I have generated this keygen. So I will just ask him to share this keygen .pub public key. Okay, so what he will do, he will just paste this keygen on Slack or Teams, whatever is available, and then I will log into the server with my PEM key and all. I will try to log in. So once login is done, then I will go to cd.ssh directory. This will be asked in interviews for sure, guys. Which location or what is the file where we can add our SSH keygens. Okay, and I will open authorized underscore keys, and what I will do, I will just paste the Amodi's key. So this is Amodi key. Okay, so now I will save this and I will exit from the server. So what Isa Amodi will do now? He will just enter the SSH. So he will not be having the key name, sorry, key pair, but still he will only get the IP address and the public IP and the username, and he will hit enter. Now he can bypass the PEM key and he can able to log to the server without any PEM key as well. So this is how we can bypass the credentials. Now what happened? Amodi came to me and Amodi said, I don't want to use the user as EC2-user, but I want the user as Isa. Okay, so he wants to log in as a user called Isa. He don't want to use EC2-user. Since we don't have this user ID, what will happen? The request will get failed. So in that case, what we can do now?
We have to add the new user in the root, I mean administration Linux.
Yeah, so how to add? User add
Is that right?
Isa.
Isa.
And then I will add one password to the user called Isa and the PSHWD, right? What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create one user and I'm trying to add one password. Password is admin123. Now we have successfully created the user called Isa as well. How to check the number of users available?
Password file etc.
cat etc path.
Cat etc
Yes.
password.
So here we can see that, okay, we have got one user called Isa now. Okay, now I will update Isa that, okay, you can log in with your username. So let us see what is happening. So what he will do, he will try to log in with his username SSH ESSA and then public IP, and he will enter. Coming permission denied. Something happened and he was not able to log in. Permission denied. He is complaining that he is unable to log in with the user called Isa. We have created that user, but still he is unable to log in.
Adding sudo.
Sudoers file, that is a different concept. I mean that you need after logging in, but the main concern here is you are not able to log in. So now Isa is complaining me that he is unable to log in even after creating the user ID and password. So what I will do, or what should we do? Why we are unable to log in with the user called Isa?
Again, we have to add in the SSH PEM key, I mean the public key in the authorized keys.
Already I have added. That is related to my machine and this server. That is nothing to do with the user Isa. Okay, let us think in that way, and let me do one more thing. Okay, so I have this keygen, right? So let me try to log in with this keygen. SSH-I take 07 is at the rate 3.94.107.191. Still permission denied. Even if I'm sharing the PEM key, still he's unable to log in. He's able to log in with the help of EC2 user. Why? Because by default AWS will block all the other users except the default user. Means only default user can be used to log in. By default other user permissions are being blocked in AWS EC2 instances. AWS guys, what they have did, they have blocked all the other users. Means no user can log in with their user ID. If you want to log into the server, then you can only log in with the help of this EC2 user only. That's the default one. If you want to modify, then you need to make the changes in the file called sshd_config. I'm not sure where that file is available. Let me switch to root user. Find/-m. Why are we using find command? Because I'm not aware of this file location, I am using find command to search for the location. Then I can see that this file is available in this location. So what I will do, here we have one default option. If I'll open this file, if I'll open this file, here you can see something called password authentication as no. Means because of this option, no other users can able to log into your EC2 instance. So what I will do is I will try to modify this option instead of no to yes. Means I want other users also to log in to this machine with other usernames. Password authentication should be yes. By default it was no. Okay, so I have just made these changes. So I am saving this file. Make sure while making any changes in the configurations file, right, so you have the backup of that file as well, or else if you add some random stuff, right, then your files will get corrupted. Okay, so I have updated the changes. Now I will try to restart SSHD service because in order to reflect all these changes. Done. Now I will try to exit. Now I will ask ESA to log in again. See, this time ESA @IP address. Hit enter. It is asking for password. Admin 123. ESA user is able to log in successfully. Clear? How to do this?
Sabir, sorry to interrupt here. Can we do the same process for the EC2 default user? I mean, without SSH key and without PEM key, can we log in with the user ID and password there?
For that you need to create one password. We haven't created any password for the EC2 user, right?
Yes.
If you are creating any password, then yeah, it will work. Same process. There is no change. Okay. So this is how you can create one user and you can log in with that user in your AWS EC2. And if you don't want to use PEM keys as well, or if you don't want to share PEM keys, then you need to create one SSH keygen and add that keygen in the authorized_keys. So remember these targets, I mean from where we are copying and to which directory we are copying. Password admin 123. See, it is working for both. Clear? For example, what happened is this was my brand new server. I haven't copied any SSH keygens and all. Okay, I haven't copied any SSH keygens and this was a brand new server. What happened is ESA deleted my PEM key. Okay, my PEM key is deleted. This is not available in the recycle bin as well. From recycle bin also this got deleted. Okay, and someone has updated my SSH key, means now I am unable to connect to my server because there is no PEM key is not available and no SSH, nothing is available. So now how should I log into my server? What should we do? Understood? At least what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So you have lost the PEM key, someone has deleted, you don't have any SSH keygens exchange, so you cannot log into the server. And in that case, what we can do is, I will try to go to my EC2 instance. Okay. If I click on connect, here we are unable to see this option as well. This option is also disabled. If this option is enabled, then we can log in, connect. It will connect. This option is also disabled. So what should we do now? For example, what if I'll go to key pairs, here I can see there is one key called techie07. If I'll click here, we don't have any option to delete this key. Sorry, to go download this key again. Means once this key is downloaded, you cannot again re-download this key. There is no such option which is available. You cannot download this key pair again and again. There is no chance. It will only create it for one time and it will be downloaded. That's it. Apart from that, you cannot recreate this key again and again. So there is no option to re-download this key. Okay. Now what should I do? This is my production server. This is very important. I cannot miss the data which is available in this instance. Think of it, try to Google it for 2 minutes. I will be online for 2 minutes. Okay. So try to Google what needs to be done. Guys, did you find anything?
Yeah, it was showing that we should remove the old public key and generate a new pair as soon as possible.
No, there is no option to create one more key. So always try to refer a couple of different documents. So whenever you try to Google it, right? For example, deleted my PEM key, what to do now to log in. Okay, so always whenever you're trying to search for any error or any help, right? So do not just depend upon the first document. No, try to read couple of different documents. See how to recover access key, how to recover access. So try to read different documents, and also try to check which at what time at what point of time this document has been created. See, it has been created 5 years ago, means there will be a lot of modifications now. These types will not work for you. There might be some lot of updates. Okay, so always check for the documentation. This is from August 2019. Try to see whether you are able to work on this, or else try to read for another documentation. Okay, so now we lost the key, we don't have anything. So what we can do is, you should always take the snapshot. Means Here you have something called, if you go to actions and if you go to instance settings, you have something called, where is this? Okay, before taking snapshot, okay, we have this image, right? So here we have some option called create image. Means if you guys remember, I have shown something called my AMIs. Let me open this. If I'm clicking on launch instance and click on browse more AMIs, here you can see something called my AMIs. Means now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create my own AMI, custom AMI. Means from the already existing image, I'm trying to take one snapshot. Means I'm trying to create one new image from this image. For example, you are playing one video game. There will be 10 different levels, first level, second level, third level. So you have started your game. After reaching third level, what you have did, you were busy with some other work and you have shut down your game. When you are trying to restart after a couple of hours or couple of minutes or couple of days, will it start from level 1 or it will start from level 3?
If we save the game at the level 3, then we can start with level 3, or else we have to start with level 1. If
Yeah, if you have saved that, then we will start from level 3 only, right? So what is happening over there? It is also trying to take one backup of your actual point of state. Means whatever your current state was available, it took one backup in your mobile. So in instances, we call it as snapshot. So I will take one snapshot. So in snapshot, what will happen? It will try to capture the actual point of time. So at this point of time, in this instance, what is available? In this instance, there is one user called Isa is available. There is one Apache software is installed. One application is deployed. HTML application file is also deployed. So this is the current state of my EC2 instance. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to click on create image. So backup HTTPD first server. I'm just trying to add some name. Okay, if you want to add any description, you can add. So let me copy the same name as description, and then it is trying to capture from the EBS volume. Why? Because all the data is stored in the EBS volume only. All the data, whatever we were trying to do, is stored in this EBS volume only, right? So it will take a snapshot from this EBM volume. Okay, and I will try to scroll down. And then here I have the option called create image. So let me click on create image. Now what is happening? It is trying to create one AMI from instance. From this particular instance, it is trying to create one AMI. So now what I am trying to do, I am trying to create my custom AMI. This is what is available in community AMIs as well. Means they are launching one instance, they are installing some softwares, and they are creating images. Even in marketplace, we have the base operating system. They are installing some softwares and they are providing to us. In marketplace, it will be the license version because AWS will purchase the license and everything for you. No need to worry about that. So now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create my own AMI, custom AMI, right? So it will take some time to create. So where you can see here on the left side, you can see something called AMIs. If I click here, then you can see one AMI is getting created for us. This is still not available. It is still pending. So what I have did now, I have taken backup of my server because my PEM key is lost. I am unable to log in to the server. The only thing what I can do is I can take one snapshot of my volume and I am trying to create one AMI. If I go to AMIs, if I'll refresh, then the status is still pending. So let us wait for a couple of more minutes. Let it create, and then we can see what we can do, how to connect with our EC2 instance. If I'll refresh this page, not sure whether I will find this or not for now. Yeah, here you can see one AMI. Now in my AMIs, you can see one custom image is available. So let me click on select. Okay, now what I have did, I have selected my own AMI, which is already having ESA as a user as well as HTTP. Means same content is available in this backup. I will write as backup server, and I will scroll down. Instance type, what you want to select, T2 micro, same options. So while launching this newly created instance, you can create one new key pair because your Techie07 key pair has been deleted. Now you don't have access for this. So I will create one new key pair now. Backup server. Okay, create key pair. This key pair is also downloaded. And then networking, same, select existing security group. I am using default one because this is already opened, and 8 GB is okay for me, and click on launch instance. Okay, this is still pending, not yet completed. This AMI is still in pending. That's the reason it is unable to launch. So let's just wait for this status to be active.
Shabir, in this situation, we have changed IP address as all the details, right?
The IP address will get changed.
But in production, we don't change any IP
In
address.
that case, you should use Elastic IP. That's what Elastic IP was available. In production, we'll use Elastic IP only. So for now, since we are not aware of this IP address creation and all, I haven't shown that.
Okay.
But as you said, in production, we are not going to change the IP addresses and all. What we do is we'll change, we'll attach the Elastic IP, so IP address will be same.
Okay. In this case also, we have a downtime for recreating.
No, as of now, there is no downtime. Why? Because see, our application is still running. If you'll access this, if you'll access this public IP, my application is running, still running. The only thing is I am unable to connect to my EC2 instance.
Till now we have not terminated the.
We have not terminated it. That is still running. Again, for downtime and all, we have different concepts. We have blue and green, we have rolling update. So these EC2s will be part of any of that strategies. So you might not see any downtime for this. This is inactive. Did I stop this?
Yeah, actually, whenever you have taken a AMI, right, in that time, one option is there for no reboot or need to enable, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why.
Yep. Yeah, maybe I have selected that and it got stopped, or else there will be no downtime for this. Okay, so this will be running, our application will be accessible. The only thing is we are unable to connect to this EC2 instance.
My doubt is one Elastic IP is attached to only one server only, right?
In that case, what you need to do is once we get this EC2 instance, right? So you need to terminate your existing one. At that point of time, you can see some downtime. But again, since we will be using different strategies, there will be a couple of different servers who will be serving your traffic. Only we are not dependent upon only one server. Our application will be deployed on couple of servers. So if one is down, the traffic will be redirected to another servers, and that will be taken care by the load balancers. Okay, so what happened? Okay, so where are we? Our image is active now, available. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to launch my instance again. Okay, this time my instance has been successfully created. Backup server. So once the status is running, what I will do is I will try to connect to this EC2 instance with the newly created PEM key. Means you cannot log into this instance now. This instance is of no use for you. Means you cannot log into that instance with a new key as well. Okay, the only thing what we can do is, since we have the backup server what I have created, so I will just copy the public key. I will go to my downloads. Where is my downloads? I will do SSH-i and then backup server .pem ec2-user @public IP. Permission denied. Maybe this is still pending. This is running. Status checks is still pending. Our security group. Inbound rules are open. Everything looks good. So let me try. What happened? Why this permission is getting failed? Let me just check. Yeah, this is working here. Cat etc. Now if you see this server, right, here you can see there is one user called Isa which is already available. Okay, and then if you see the status of HTTPD, then this is also installed. This is not loading because of the restart. Okay, we haven't enabled this option, but if you go to this where www.html, and if you do cat index.html, our deployment file is also available. So what happened now? We have the same server, exact copy of our existing server, this time with a new PEM key. So now with the help of this PEM key, you can connect to the newly created server. That is our backup server. So whenever we lost any PEM key, there is no option to retrieve the PEM key. The only thing what we need to do is we need to create one image. That's generally what we are doing. We are taking one snapshot, and that we are with that snapshot you can launch one AMI. Okay, with that AMI we can launch one EC2 instance, and you can generate one new PEM key, and with that new PEM key you can connect to the newly created server. Remember this, you cannot connect to the old server with the newly created PEM key. This is of no use. Now what I will do, I will just terminate this instance. So whatever configurations you have in the production or backend, we can do it, and you can terminate this. Clear? So this is how you can get the backup of your servers or to create your custom AMI.
Shabir, why that server is unable to connect SSH?
Which one? This is connecting. Backup server. This is connecting from EC2. Let me check from Git bash.
From console, right? I'm asking like SSH.
Let me do it. SSH -I backup. What was the FEM key?
I think your backup file was named in
backup.
parentheses 1.
No,
No,
that's okay. No, that's okay. That will not be an issue. If it is connecting from that I mean from our server, even it will connect from here also.
I think we need to check in the SSH config file once.
No, yeah, we need to update this configuration because by default root will not work for us. Is will also not working.
I think can you please restart SSH service in console once? Let
me check that. ED, ECD, EDC, SSH. Password authentication. Let me modify this.
This is for particular user, right? But EC2-user also not able to log in into SSH, right? No?
By default, EC2 should work.
Yeah.
Because that is how that has been configured. Okay, systemctl restart. Okay, let me first try.
Yeah, now it's working, I think.
No, it is working, but we don't have password for EC2 user. Admin 123. Okay, so this is how we can back up, we can log in. The only thing is check that SSH configurations. Okay. And for example, you are using T2 micro and your server is very slow because of your file system got occupied or some services are taking a lot of space and all. Okay, your system is very slow and you want to update the type of instance. So what you will do? If you want to update the type of instance, so we cannot delete this or we cannot start this, right? So what we need to do is we have one option. So before making any changes in the type of instance, you just need to stop instance first. Once your instance is stopped, what you can do is go to actions. You will have instance settings. Then this option will be enabled, change instance type. Let me refresh. This is in stopped state now. Change instance type from T2 micro to which type of instance do you want to use? For example, I want to use medium. Select medium, click on apply, and then start your instance. So once you made these changes, so what will happen? Now the type of instance is from T2 micro to T2 medium. So you can always modify the type of instance. Okay.
Shabir, is there any option to change that network settings on fly?
Network settings?
VPC set, like
No,
I have
we
many times.
need to, no, I mean, as of now, we have only one NIC card, network interface. We cannot make the changes.
Okay, actually, I have trying to launch any instance now. By default, I have clicked it in default VPC, but after I realize I need to change to VPC. Is there any way to after launching?
No. You cannot do that. You cannot change your VPC. But if you want multiple IP addresses, that is possible with multiple NIC card. But as of now, you cannot change your VPC.
Okay.
Because it will be a problem for the data center team in terms of connecting or maintaining your server. You will get the IP address, you will do your operations, but it will be problem for them in terms of taking backups and all, because they are responsible for the high availability, right? So we cannot do that.
Okay.
And Ramya, still we have time. Okay, so we have just started EC2. You have experience, so you know a lot of stuff, but here a lot of people, they are working from scratch. So better we'll discuss as we progress, or else we are going off the topics. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Guys, if you have any questions, let me know, or else I think we are good for today. It's been almost 1 hour 51 minutes. I think many of them has lost interest and they're sleeping as well. Finally, this is what happening when you guys are trying to launch one EC2. This is the story behind our EC2. Okay. I will be posting some set of tasks. So try to execute that task as well. Try to watch this video, write down all the important points, and also read the interview Q&A. That is very important. We have 5 to 6 questions only for EC2. So try to read that interview Q&A on the same day. Do not keep that for Friday, because since we have our mock interviews on Monday, right? So do not keep that pending. Try to read that on the same day. It will be easy for you. Okay, so let me stop this recording.